Hey there, it's Tom Corson-Knowles. Welcome today to the Authentic Health Coaching Show. And we have such an amazing guest for you today on the show. I am so excited. His name is Steve Siebold, and he's the best-selling author of the book Die Fat or Get Tough. And I just love Steve's no-nonsense approach to weight loss, to getting rid of that extra weight that you have. And, you know, it's so refreshing to hear someone say, look, if you're fat, if you're overweight, if you're unhealthy, if you're out of shape, it's your fault. It's your responsibility. No one made you eat that food. No one made you not go to the gym. No one made you sit on the couch all day and watch TV, right? I mean, we have to take responsibility for our own lives and our own results that we've created in our lives. And if you want to lose the weight, if you want to get rid of it, then you have to make some changes and you have to take responsibility. I mean, if you go around all day blaming, the media and blaming food companies and blaming fast food on your situation, then you're not going to do anything to change it, right? But when you wake up and you say, hey, look, I got myself in this situation and I'm going to change it, that's when things change in your life. And I just love Steve's approach to that. And I think you're really going to enjoy the interview today. I hope you take great notes and enjoy. Well, Steve, thanks so much for being with us today on the Authentic Health Coaching Show. Tell us about your background and what got you interested in weight loss in the first place.
Well, I was a professional athlete in the late 1980s, mid 1980s, late 1980s. And then when I retired, I became a mental toughness coach, which is what I do now, and started giving speeches and eventually started flying all over the world giving speeches. And at one point I gained 40 pounds and went to a friend's wedding, and some of the people I hadn't seen in a few years, and they hardly recognized me. It was really embarrassing. Yeah. And so it was just a vanity play completely. And I decided to lose the weight and found out that it was what I had talked about my whole career, which was mental toughness, was really the answer to losing weight. So I decided to write a book on it and try to help some people, get rid of this problem.
So what do you mean by mental toughness? Is it just, what does that mean?
Well, it really means taking control of your emotions. I mean, that's really what leads to a lot of problems, especially with the obesity epidemic, is so many of us, including me when I gained my weight, eat emotionally. We use food as a drug almost to make us feel better. And instead of what it's supposed to, do, which is, obviously supply us with energy and all that. So it's about taking control of your emotions so you can control your eating and get fit and healthy, like you talk about.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, was there a specific diet that you followed that you think was what determined your success, or was it something else?
Well, when I got into it, I just went to my doctor. I'd never been on a diet before in terms of losing weight. I'd been on a diet as a professional athlete, but not a weight loss diet. Never had that issue. And I went to my doctor, and he said, get on a low-carb diet. That was a big thing back then. This is around 10 years ago. And so I got on a low-carb diet. It took me, I wrote myself a mental toughness program, which is what I do for Fortune 500 companies. And I wrote myself a program, and 12 weeks later, I lost the weight, and that's been about 10 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. So do you coach people on weight loss? And if so, I mean, what kind of things do you teach people to take control of their emotions, and what can you do?
Well, I don't coach people on weight loss, but I wrote the book, Die Fat or Get Tough. And for the research for the book, what we did was we interviewed 500 fat people and 500 fit people, and I went to breakfast, lunch, dinner with a lot of these people and kind of saw the way they ate and the way they talked about food, and then the fit people first. And then I went to the fat people, and I realized, of course, the differences in the way they think about food. The fit people are eating for vitality and health and energy and all the good things. And the fat people were eating like I was eating when I gained my weight, which was for pleasure. And it was no wonder. There's absolutely no wonder why, most people who are fit, why they're fit and why the fat people are fat. And it really starts with the way they think. And that's what the book's about.
Gotcha. So what are some of the differences in the thinking exactly?
Well, probably the biggest one overall is the way they approach it in terms of pleasure versus eating for energy. So I'd go out with the fit people, and they say, well, I'm going to get the salmon, and the reason is because salmon has all these great things in it for you. It makes me feel really great, gives me energy, and I'm going to have water instead of a Coke or a drink or something like that. And the fat people said, we sat down and said, hey, what do you feel like? What are you in the mood for? Yeah, large pizza sounds, deep dish sounds good to me. Let's get some chips and dip as well. And so the biggest reason is, I think the biggest difference is the way they approach it in terms of one group is eating for pleasure, and again, one group is eating for a strategic reason, which is health and fitness. That's probably the number one thing.
Right, gotcha. So how do you make that change and that transition then? Let's say you just ordered a deep dish pizza and you're like, man, I shouldn't have ordered that. I know I'm eating emotionally, but I just don't know how to change it.
Well, the first thing is, in my mind, it's Tom, it's a two-step process. Step number one, make a decision. I mean, a real decision that you're going to do this, and you're not going to go back. And number two is learn the mental toughness tips that help you stick to the diet. And that's really it. Again, this book is a mental toughness book for dieters. I mean, that's really what it is, to give them ideas on how to stick to it. Mm-hmm. And like, I'll give you an example. One of the most popular tips that it's been on this book has been on television all over the world and radio and all that. And one of the favorite things of the TV anchors in America is that I say in the book that one of the secrets of the fit people is that they believe you have to be 100% compliant, and 99% compliant is failing. And most people say, well, geez, that's a little rough. I mean, if you're 99% compliant, that seems to be good enough. Well, and the example I always give that cracks people up a lot is I say, imagine being married and going home to your spouse and saying, hey, honey, guess what? I was 99% compliant this year, faithful to you this year, in other words, which is better than last year, which I was only 75% faithful. So I'm thinking it's a big improvement. I'm hoping you're going to be happy with that. Right. You better start running out the door when you say it, because you're probably going to be in trouble. And it's that same thing. You're either committed to it or you're not. Now, if you're someone who can get away with 99% compliance and still lose weight, then do it. But most of us in the beginning can't do that. We really need it needs to be an all or nothing proposition, especially in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And that keeps you kind of from sliding, right? Because once you do that 1%, then it's 5 and 10 and 20. Before you know it, you're totally off the diet, right?
Yeah, you know how it goes. It's a slippery slope. All of a sudden you think, well, I can just have this little bit and it's no big deal. Then you think, well, I just had the little bit yesterday. I might as well have a little bit more. Then you do that a couple more times. You think, well, I'm off the diet. I might as well just forget it over the weekend and start back on Monday. Everyone does the same thing. We all do this stuff. I did it too, and it's just that's the problem with an almost total commitment. And I think in anything for that matter, especially with weight loss.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I totally agree. I've got this friend from back in high school, and he gained all this weight when he went to college. And, he's got the Atkins diet 1 week, and then he's doing a low-carb diet, then he's trying a vegan diet, and it's like, 2 weeks later, I'm like, how are you doing that diet? He's like, what diet? I forgot about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
we all make these mistakes.
Sorry, what?
We've all made these mistakes, and we all fall into these traps. It's just that at some point, if you're going to succeed, you have to make a decision that you're going to do this once and for all and solve the problem.
Absolutely. So you make a decision, you stick to it 100%, and then do you stay 100% forever?
Well, I would say you stay 100% until you're at your goal weight, and then you have to see how you can jockey it. If you can do 90%, stay at your goal weight, do 90%. I mean, it's like the comparison I make is it's like being rich. I mean, if you've got enough money, you say, well, rich people need to be on a budget. Well, if they're really rich, they can be a little lax on a budget because they're rich, and then they can do that. But if you're not rich, you better stick to a budget. So you have to know what you have, what you're going to succeed with, and what's going to put you over the edge. So if you can do 80%, do 80%. If you have to do 100, do 100.
Gotcha, definitely. And what about having support? Because some people they go to the gym or get a personal trainer. Isn't that kind of the key, that you have to have support from other people to lose weight?
Well, I don't think it's you have to have it, but of course it sure helps. I mean, if you've got someone or a group of people or a trainer, as you say, helping support you, I mean, I think it's great. And I think that's why people. This is what I did, because I was around athletes, but these are young. When I was a young athlete, these people are young and they don't gain. You don't gain weight with doing anything almost, because you're always working out and training and all that. But I think that, as you get a little bit older, or if you're more susceptible to gaining weight even as a young person, get around people who think fit, who really eat the right way and who exercise and have a philosophy that's congruent with health and fitness. And that's what I did. Once I got around the fit people, I started thinking, no wonder I've gained weight. I don't think like these people. I think like a fat person. Mm-hmm. And maybe I was just lucky before genetically that I didn't get fat, but I really think more like, or I thought at that point, more like a fat person. And getting around the fit people was just like you're living on a different planet. At least it was to me. And it rubs off on you after a while. I mean, consciousness is contagious. And, you get around these people, it's very inspiring. And all of a sudden you start thinking, hey, if I thought like them, I'd be getting their results. And you start to do it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's so true. Awesome. If you have a friend who's running marathons and he's like, hey, come run with me, right? And they kind of get you to go along with them and all these activities and healthier restaurants and things like that. And you start making some better choices.
Sure, yeah. The influence, people have a big influence on all of us, so yeah.
Absolutely. So what are some other beliefs that these fit people had?
Well, a lot of it, like, for example, one of the things that they did was they'd have their ultimate, body shape in mind. So a lot of these people the fit people I interviewed they'd take pictures in magazines and they'd cut out pictures of people that they'd like to have that kind of a body. Like Men's Fitness or Women's Fitness magazine, whichever, and they would cut out the body style they want. They put it in their exercise room or in their car or on their refrigerator where they could see it on a daily basis, and it would motivate them, to work out more or to, stick to the diet and that type of thing. So they dreamed of this ultimate, for them, the ultimate body shape and the ultimate body look, and that helped keep them on track. That's another thing that they did.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So they know where they're going. They know what their goal is.
Yeah, exactly right.
Mm-hmm. So you were overweight, 40 pounds overweight, you lost the weight. Did that change anything else in your life? Or was it just, you felt better about your health and that was it?
Well, this is a great question because I've taught mental toughness now for almost 30 years to the biggest corporations, some of the biggest companies literally in the world. I mean, tens of thousands of people have been through these courses, and I had never lost weight, like I said, until about 10 years ago. I never had to, and I just didn't. I just thought I'd lose the weight and it would be a linear experience, and I just couldn't believe how it impacted every other area of my life, including how much money I made, my relationships, my self-confidence, my self-esteem, I think, as well. Just everything is impacted. I've never seen anything that has more impact on your entire life than getting fit. It's just you just can't overstate the benefits of being fit.
Mm-hmm. Right, because it's like you make that first step and then you see, now I know how to be mentally tough in my diet and my exercise. My God, my finances, I can't believe I let that whole thing slip, and now you go and you fix that, right?
Yeah, absolutely, exactly right. That's what happens. You start thinking, well, if I had the confidence to and the discipline to do, fix one area, then maybe I can fix my finances. And if I can do that, maybe I can fix my relationships. And it just kind of spirals upward. And the first thing I thought was I should have lost this weight immediately. I think I've waited about maybe a year before it's kind of crept up on me for about a year. But I should have done it right away. I just had no idea the benefits that were involved with being fit. Mm-hmm. It's hard to overstate.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, tell us about some of the stories of people that have read the book and applied the material and lost the weight, and what are some things they're changing in their lives?
Well, I get two separate, responses, Tom. One is like when I went on the Today Show, when the book first came out. The second TV show I was on was the Today Show with Kathy Lee Gifford, and I did the 4-minute interview or 5-minute interview, and I had 3 death threats after the show. 3 people said they were going to shot me emails and said they were going to kill me, basically, in not very nice terms.
Wow.
So like that. All I was saying is, all I said on that show, and you can see it on the internet, is if you're fat, it's your fault. Grow up emotionally, get tough, and fix it. And people said, well, this is the one half of the response I get, is people will say, well, it's not my fault. It's the restaurant's fault. It's the government's fault because they're not regulating the food industry. It's society's fault, et cetera, et cetera. And what I say is, who's coming over and stuffing the pizza and donuts in our mouths? I mean, I got fat too, and no one did it for me. I was really good at stuffing the food in. I didn't need any help. It's pretty easy to do. And that's kind of the half. I get death threats. I get a lot of threatening, nasty emails from people and stuff. And then the other half of people absolutely think this is the greatest book they've ever read because it kind of wakes them up. It's a slap in the face. And we've had people lose 100 pounds, 150 pounds, massive amounts of weight because finally someone slapped them and said, hey, wake up, fix this problem. You're an adult. You're not a child. Fix the problem, and the benefits will be unbelievable. And just like we were talking about, people have had stories of success beyond just the weight loss. It just changed their lives. It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome. It's so inspiring to see those changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's say you're getting started. You say, I decided I'm going to lose my 40 pounds or 50 pounds. I'm overweight. But what if I don't know where to start? I mean, I've tried this, that, I've tried that. I have no idea what to do. Where do I go to find that information?
Yeah, a lot of people say this. We get thousands of emails like this, probably like you do, Tom. And what we did was we put together a free course for people called fatloser.com. It's a website, fatloser.com. It's all free. It's a 21-day video course. The short version of the story is that before the economic crash, we used to actually sell this program for $500, and we sold lots of it all over the world. And people, after the economic crash, people, kept emailing and saying, I don't have the money, I can't afford it, but I'm 75 pounds overweight and I have diabetes. And finally, I felt so bad for people that we just put it online and we made it free. And now tens of thousands of people all over the world have taken this course. It'll give them some ideas. It's not going to give you a diet. It's not going to give you an exercise program. You need to go to your doctor for those things. But this will give you, hopefully, the mental toughness and the mindset that it takes to be really fit.
That's awesome. And that's so awesome that you're doing that. You're teaching people those principles. And I think that's so important that, you have to get that education first and foremost, because, yes, you got to have the mental toughness and the decision to lose the weight, but like you've got to study nutrition. Like I'm sure these fit people, they talk about the health benefits of salmon. They didn't just like come out of thin air and come up with that. Like they read a book or read an article and found out, oh, this food's good for me, so I'm going to eat more of it, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, that's why it's so important, the things that you're doing as well. I mean, it's you're educating people. You've got great products, programs. And the fit take time to learn about these things. They take time. I mean, they realize it's a really important part of life because, you can have all the money and the greatest relationships in the world, but if you drop dead, it's not going to do you much good. And if you're not feeling good and you don't have the energy, I just had no idea because weight creeps up on you, and over time you don't have any idea how much energy you've lost until you lose all the weight. I lost the 40 pounds when a lot of people have lost a lot more, but I lost the 40 pounds. I couldn't believe I was sleeping better. I was feeling better. I had at least twice as much energy that I did before. I just didn't know, what I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And so to your point, it's really important to be educated.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I know you're big into success and you're very patriotic and, you want America to be a better place. How do you feel about this obesity epidemic that we're in and what it's doing to our country?
Well, I'll tell you, Tom, I'd like to be more positive about it, but it's getting worse. And unfortunately, I've gone all over the world promoting this book, mostly to try to wake people up. Because we're leading the way. We're the fattest country, the second fattest country in the world, as you know. But there's a lot of other countries. I was recently in Australia and in Western Europe and Canada, and they're not that far behind us. So the whole world, is getting fatter and fatter. And there's just no end in sight because I think especially the U.S. government is not addressing, and not just the government, but the doctors. The medical community. I've debated doctors on TV all over too, and they just don't. A lot of them just don't get it. They're enabling their patients by saying, oh well, you're 75 pounds overweight, but you're just big boned, and just try to drop a little bit of weight. And they're kind of coddling their patients. Or someone's got to say, look, if you don't lose the weight, you're going to die. This is the bottom line. Or you're going to have diabetes when you're 25 years old, which is crazy if you can avoid it. The thing is, they're not doing that, Tom, as you know. And I think it's going to get worse. You saw the Pew report the other day that came out. By 2030, they're predicting now the obesity level is going to be better than 50%. This is not overweight. This is obese in America. Yeah. And it's going to get worse, and it's going to weigh the healthcare system down. So it's going to be a fiscal nightmare as well as a physical nightmare for people until we get mentally tough enough to fix it.
Awesome. And that's so true. I've held that belief for years that it's the patient's responsibility to take care of your health and to lose the weight, to get healthy. Your doctor can't do it for you. Your chiropractor, nutritionist, whatever. They cannot put your food in your mouth for you. They can't make you go to the gym. They can't make you get healthy. And, if we want to change our country's health, we have to change our own individual health first. Let's start there.
Yeah, it's a self-responsibility situation, and yeah, that's like you said. But a lot of people believe it's someone else's fault, and I wouldn't have ever believed it. If you'd asked me, Tom, you'd have said, "Well, will people come out against you?" I know that this book, it's called "Die Fat or Get Tough." So, and I have a picture of a graveyard. I don't know if you can see this, but I got a picture of a graveyard on the back. So it freaks people out. And I did it purposely, not to be mean, but just to shock people and say, look, you're going to have to fix this, or you're going to be in the grave. Or you're going to be sick your whole life. And it's unnecessary. But until, like you say, until the individual takes responsibility, the collective won't take the responsibility. So,
yeah, so true. So true. So where can people find out more info about you and the book?
Well, what I would recommend to people, if you want to lose weight, is go to fatloser.com. You can't buy the book there, but you can buy the book on Amazon. But go to fatloser.com and take that 21-day course. It's totally free. It's no sales pitch or anything like that. It's a real course that we, like I say, that we developed and used to sell for $500 a piece. So they can do it for free. That's what I would do first. Read the book if you like, and then start getting around successful people in terms of fitness, and get education from people like yourself, from shows like this, and really make this a priority in your life until you fix it. And I swear to anyone who's listening to this or watching this that's got this issue, you will be so glad you did. There's just nothing else you can do for yourself like getting fit. I don't think.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Steve, for sharing with us. I know it's going to help thousands of people improve their health and get fit and get healthy and drop their weight. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Tom. Good seeing you.
Hey there, it's Tom Corson-Knowles. Hope you loved the show today with Steve Siebold. Isn't he just a breath of fresh air? And I know some people either love him or hate him. You know, that's just how it is. You either love him or hate him. But you got to admire the man for kind of just telling it like it is. You know, so many people, like you said, your doctors, they'll coddle you. They'll say, you know, it's not your fault. You know, you're a big bone. It's your genetics. And yeah, you know, those things do play a role. I'm not going to lie. But at the end of the day, you know, you make the choices in your life, and you're the one who gets to decide whether you're going to continue going in that direction of obesity and diabetes, or whether you're going to turn it around. And you can make that choice today. So I hope you will. I hope you made that choice today, that you're going to make some positive changes in your life and your health and your diet and your fitness levels. And I'm just here to help you. Any questions you have, anything we can do to help, just post a comment in the episode below, and we're happy to help support you. All right, and remember to come join us at AuthenticHealthCoaching.com, where you can get your free copy of Dr. Candace Corson's Top 5 Nutrition Tips book. All right, wishing you a great day. Make sure you join us next week on the show, where we have a very special surprise guest for you. You won't want to miss it. Take care.